Just a day after the aircraft collision, Trump blamed, without any evidence, his familiar scapegoats, the previous administrations and DEI.
I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. And they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. They actually came out with a directive, too white. And we want the people that are competent.
I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay?
No, not okay. And let's fact-check President Trump's assertion. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, there are rigorous standards for hiring pilots, mechanics, and air traffic controllers, and there is no evidence that those standards were lowered to meet diversity goals. So, folks, let's call out the president's response for what it really is: racist. And Trump is putting action behind his malevolent words. He signed an aviation-related memorandum on Thursday, quote, aimed at undoing all of that damage caused by the, quote, Biden administration's DEI and woke policies. There's no other way around it. It's racist. Why Trump is doing this is plainly apparent. He's incapable of taking any responsibility for anything that happens on his watch. He can't be held accountable because it's always someone else's fault. And judging by his actions over the first 12 days of Trump 2.0, President Trump seems more interested in taking a wrecking ball to government and its core functions millions of Americans depend on. Joining me now, Congressman Gerry Connolly of Virginia, ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. He's also a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And Congressman Glenn Ivey of Maryland. He's a member of the House Appropriations and Homeland Security Committees. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. You've been sitting here this entire time through the NTSB press conference. Before we went on the air, you both were commiserating, asking each other if you had constituents on the plane that day, and you both said yes. Real quickly, what are you hearing from your constituents, Congressman Connolly?
Just a sense of grief and mourning, especially among the ice skating community. My daughter was an ice skater, and she knew a lot of those people. One of the major ice skating rinks in Northern Virginia is in my district. So there's a lot of grief and a lot of mourning right now, and people trying to bind up their wounds.
Congressman Ivey?
Same. We've got a rink, I think it's down in Waldorf, which is just south of my district. It's in Steny district, but a lot of grief, not only from the families that were directly involved, but people who, apparently this is a very tight community. They knew each other, and, there's a lot of grief going around based on that.
And given the conversation, the press conference that we just heard, how are you feeling about how the NTSB is handling this, Congressman Connolly?
So I had a constituent who was a volunteer for the Red Cross, and he was at the scene of the accident that night. He couldn't sing the praises of NTSB, FAA, Coast Guard, FBI loud enough. They were on the scene and doing yeoman work to try to recover, to try to rescue, and to comfort families. That's the federal workforce Donald Trump wants to go after.
Congressman Ivey, you are on the House Appropriations Committee. There's so much. Welcome back to the Trump presidency, where every day, every hour, it seems to be there's breaking news. And an hour before we went on air, the administration announced tariffs, 25% tariffs against Canada and Mexico, 10% against China. He has told the American people that this is about stemming the flow of fentanyl and undocumented migrants into the country, and that somehow those countries are going to be penalized by these tariffs. Is that how this works?
No, that's never how it works. I mean, tariffs always lead to trade wars, tariff wars like we're about to see, and that just means escalating costs for consumers. Now, the irony was he ran on making the economy better for regular people, making lives better for regular people. This is going to be taking money out of their pockets because it just means consumer goods are going to be more expensive. And because it's so broad-based, it's going to have a damaging effect across the economy in pretty short order, I would think. They'll be able to stall it back to some extent. Sometimes these companies can delay transferring it over, but eventually it's going to hit consumers and right in the pocketbook.
And Congressman Connolly, I mean, it's amazing to me. So he's doing the tariffs, and this comes after a week of a bunch of things that he has done. You just made a point of this about going after the federal workforce,
right,
whether it's purging the Department of Justice of investigators who worked on investigations into January 6th or into him. Proposing buyouts of federal employees, basically saying, hey, if you leave, we'll pay you. My big hobby horse here is that from what we've seen over the last 12 days, Congressman, is an incredible overreach by the executive into the prerogatives and powers of the legislative branch. And I think we were supposed to we had to cut down my long intro, my little soliloquy, but it was going to end on a quote from you where you say, you talk about the overreach, but you also say it's unconstitutional. Talk more about that.
Yeah. Congress is a separate but co-equal branch of government. When it comes to the expenditure of funds, for example, the executive does not have the leeway to decide, well, we like that and we don't like that, so we'll spend that but not that. That got settled a long time ago. That's called impoundment, and the executive has no such power. There are rights for federal workers in the workplace. They have contracts. They have an appeals process. They're supposed to, if you're going to terminate somebody, you've got to show cause, and they have the right to appeal. They have rights. They're trampling all over those rights. And one of the reasons for the buyout is it suddenly dawned on them that they're facing a lot of lawsuits, given what they've already done. And it's a lot easier to try to incentivize somebody to just retire. Don't come to work for 8 months. We'll pay you and go away.
Is it right to call it a buyout, or it's just, don't come to work, we'll still pay you. The money is there. Because to me, when I hear buyout, it's the government saying, here, we're just going to give you some cash, like in the private sector. But that's not how this works
Well,
either.
I heard one version of it, someone call it the okie doke, basically, because not only is there an issue with respect to that, but there's also a question of whether the government could even do that. Because what he suggested was essentially kind of no-show jobs. You take off, you leave, we'll pay you anyway, but you don't come do any work. And I don't think that's legal. So you've already heard objections to that. I think Senator Kaine raised those last week as well.
He warned them that he'd stiff them.
Yeah. And I think that's true, too. So why would you trust this guy? If you're a federal worker, why would you trust that he's going to actually abide by whatever this deal might be when he's throwing people out left and right who've done nothing wrong?
And ironically, Jonathan, this is the same crowd that just a week before was saying we want every federal employee back to work 5 days a week.
Right, that's right. Let me get you on one more thing. The New York Times did an incredible thing. 2 full pages. I didn't have the physical paper. I was reading it, the e-replica version. But it goes 2 full pages of what the GOP leadership is sending around to its members. It's a plan to lawmakers that will cut $315 billion in spending over 10 years, while adding another $325 billion in spending on Trump's national security and immigration crackdown. This is according to people talking to the New York Times. I'm not sure if you've seen that actual chart. If you haven't, go find it. But what is the possibility that Donald Trump and the Republican majority in the House is going to cobble together a budget that not only takes a wrecking ball to government, but takes a wrecking ball to the American people? You're on appropriations, so
Yeah, I mean, that looks like what he's trying to do. He's calling it other things, but that's really where he's going to have to go. The question's going to be whether House Republicans go along with him or not, because it sounds like right now they're not going to be able to pull together enough of a majority, and they've only got 2 votes more than we do. And I think the Democrats are going to stay in lockstep, because this is taking money away from just basic programs that people need. It's interrupting people's lives, losing jobs and funding for contracts and all sorts of things in their lives.
And real quick, Congressman
I agree with Glenn. But remember, the real game here is to find money to offset or try to offset $4 to $5 trillion in tax cuts over the next 10 years.
Right, and that's because the Trump tax cuts have to be reauthorized by the end of this year. Congressman Gerry Connolly, Congressman Glenn Ivey, thank you both very much for coming to the Saturday Show.